This is a slightly bigger study. This was published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology in 1989. There's about 500 people, placebo-controlled, double-blinded, basically on influenza-like syndromes. So these people had influenza-like illness, and the doctor gave them a remedy that was homeopathic remedy or placebo. Nobody knew what it was they were getting. Not the doctor, not the patient, not even the person that sent it. In the end, we saw that there was 17% cure on the treated side versus 10% on the placebo side. Okay? Not a big percentage, but it's a big enough study that makes it statistically significant overall with a p-value of 0.03. And actually there was, in Lancet that year, they came out with an editorial saying this is a very respectable number for most drug trials. 7% difference is very good for most drug trials. We go a little further. We take the study a little bit more apart. In people who were under 30 years of age, we had recovery 25% versus 8%. And in older people, 30 years or older, the recovery was 10% versus 8%, not statistically significant. So younger people responded much better to this remedy than the older people. Why? I know, obviously, versus placebo. Now, let me tell you what the remedy was. They took gizzards of migrating ducks and made a blend from this, and they made the remedy from it. And they potentized it to 200 C, which is 10 to minus 400th power dilution. So it's way submolecular. And they theorized, and this was never actually proved on volunteers, but they thought because ducks are natural reservoirs of influenza viruses, this could work almost like a vaccination. And so they thought because homeopathic remedies work almost like an energy information to the vital force, if we give it to people with influenza, they might be given information in energetic form how to heal themselves. And that's exactly what happened. So why are younger people responding better than the older people? Simple. The older people have already been exposed to a lot of these viruses throughout their lifetime. Younger people have less exposure, so less knowledge or information in this energetic form. And so if we provide it for them, we see a much bigger difference from placebo. That's how I see it. And this is another interesting study, came out just last year, published in journal Chest, which is very respectable. This is on people in ICU on ventilators. And they were trying to take them off the ventilator sooner. And the way they chose their patients was if they had stringy secretions. There's this remedy in homeopathy, calibichromicum, which is made from potassium dichromate. And its main symptom is if your secretions can be stretched like this, and like kids play with their stuff from the nose, yuck. Anyway, that's calibichromicum. So they gave this versus placebo in a 30C potency, submolecular, to these people on ventilators. And they found that extubation days from 6 days to 3 days on the average change. With p-value like this, look at this. This is less than 0.0001. It's a very, very statistically significant. Length of stay in days in the ICU went from almost 8 to 4, so half. Can you imagine the savings on this? The remedy costs essentially nothing. Minnesota Homeopathic Association is currently on a campaign to show the public health officials that homeopathy should be included in the avian pandemic planning because of what I'm going to tell you next. Homeopathy actually acquired its popularity in the last 200 years in treatment of acute disease mostly, especially in epidemic situations. And take a look at some of these epidemics with mortality recorded under conventional treatment versus under homeopathic treatment. Typhus in 1813, conventional mortality was 30% versus 1.5% under homeopathic. Cholera for 40% versus 10%. Another cholera epidemic, 60% versus 9%. This is very significant, don't you think? There was no antibiotics at the time. Yellow fever, half. Yellow fever here, 1/10. Diphtheria, cholera again. Very interesting. Now, in the 1918 flu, allopathic doctors in their hospitals were reporting mortality of 30% or more in the patients that already got into the hospital. 30 to 60% actually. A lot of them died from pneumonia. Let's see how homeopaths fare. This document is on our website, flusolution.net. Flusolution.net. We have a lot of information on flu and homeopathy there. The document was printed in 1921 in the American Institute of Homeopathy journal. And basically what they did is they took reports from homeopathic doctors in the field on how they did during the pandemic. And these are the reports. This doctor from Chicago says in the plant where he was taking care of 8,000 people, there was only 1 death. This doctor in Philadelphia collected 27,000 cases of influenza treated by homeopathic doctors with overall mortality of 1%. This is different from 30%, don't you think? Dr. Roberts in Connecticut, 30 physicians reported with mortality of 0.8%. New York, this one is higher, 4%. Ohio, 1,000 cases of influenza, actual disease with no losses. Washington, 0.2%. This is the website. What we've done is developed a kit. This is the kit. We took historical information and tried to figure out what are the more common flu remedies and what can be actually used in a pandemic situation. So we actually took symptoms from the CDC website, from wherever we could find information, and came out with a group of remedies that we think should cover 95% of any flu case, including avian influenza. And so we're now promoting this. And the information on the remedies is on the website, as well as on this in this guide in the kit. They're very simple to use.